Okay, so this video will cover the eLease process for a new tenant in Buildium. This will take place after a tenant has, or an applicant, I should say, has been approved. And so what we'll do is we'll move them into Buildium, we'll create an eLease and fill out the fields specific to that property, and then we'll send it to them for them to sign. And then we'll wrap things up towards the end. So we're going to get started at the home page of Buildium. We want to navigate to leasing and to applicants. So we have a test case here, Phil. You can see Phil's been approved. It's not a real person, but I'm just going to pretend that it is. All of this stuff would be checked if they were approved, but this is not a real person, so we're going to ignore it. We're going to move them in, and to move them into Buildium, they need to be attached to a lease. So this lease, it's unsigned. You need their signature, and it's going to start on September 1st. And in this case, I will be the leasing agent. If there's an additional tenant, here's where you would add them, but it's not necessary right now. This is important. This resident site account needs to be switched on. This is going to send them an email to sign up for Buildium so that they can make their deposits, which is important, and I'll get to later. So here you'll put in the terms of the rent. So if it's $1,000 a month and it's due at the time that they move in. The security deposit, this part's really important. It is due 2 days from whenever you're making this lease. So if it's the 22nd today, it is due on the 24th, 48 hours from making this lease. We basically have a policy which says, if you don't deposit, or if you don't submit your security deposit within 48 hours of this lease being sent, then the lease can be considered void. This is to prevent people from just kind of dragging their feet and maybe trying to reserve a property, and then who knows, they could say no later down the road, maybe screwed. So the security deposit is going to be the same as the rent, $1,000. Now, if there's additional charges, this is where you'd add them. For example, a recurring charge would be something like storage rent or garage, or whatever, some additional charge. A one-time charge, we're actually going to make one. Phil has a cat, so we're going to add a one-time non-refundable pet fee. Now, this is important. Since it is a one-time charge, it will be due at the same time as their security deposit. If it was a recurring charge like garage or storage, that would be due at the same time as the rent, which is on the 1st of September. But this one is the pet fee, which we have its own process for, and we'll make that due same time as the security deposit, and that will be $400. So if that looks good, we're going to click on the Create eLease. We've got to select our template. You can see the first one here. It's got all of these addendas, this addenda. If there's an additional document, for example, some weird utility application form, something, this is where you would add it. That's on a case-by-case basis. And yeah, so we've got the signers here. Me, I sign last. This looks good. I'm going to prepare it and send for signature. Now, these are all custom details about this particular rental. And this will become intuitive after a while, but if this is your first few times, then you probably want to have something to reference right next to you. So a couple ways to do it. One can be going back to Buildium, navigating down to the eLeases, and then you're going to want to view the lease templates. And now if you drill into here, you can actually see all of these custom fields. For example, custom garage number, storage number, storage number. All of these input fields that begin with custom, you're going to see right here. I wish there was a better way to do it, but there isn't right now. So one way to do it is if you just bring the screens side by side, you can just rifle down. Okay, garage number, this rental has no garage number, so NA, storage number, NA, Lease term, you can see here, right, number of months or month to month. This is going to be a 12 months lease term. First month's rent, if you scroll down here, you can see that this is just a receipt for all of the money that's been accepted by the landlord before they moved in. So they are not paying their rent in advance. There is no garage rent, there is no storage rent, but there is another charge. There is the non-refundable pet fee. So this is the field that you're going to put it in, and it'll be $400. So this total received amount is going to be the sum of all of these fields. So one tricky thing to watch out for is that this security deposit is automatically autofilled. It's not just the ones that you added up here. So it's going to be the security deposit plus 000 plus 400. So that's going to be 1,400. The next field is where it gets kind of tricky. You've got these utility checkboxes. So there's a few different ways that people can pay their utilities. Most of the time, it's going to be either directly paid by the tenant, or maybe the landlord pays for some, or sometimes the landlord pays for part of it and the tenants pay for part of it. In this case, I'm not really sure how the utilities are done at this particular 4811 property. So another thing you can do, instead of going into this lease template, this is probably what you're going to want to do more often, is you can, scroll over here and let's see, 4811 Emerson. So you can see down here at this rental that it has been in Godium. And here's the past lease. This is the one we're working on right now. But this past lease, you can get a lot of information from it. So we'll drill into it. Here's some notes. But what you're going to want to do is you want to go down to files. And you want to find an old lease. So let's see. Here's the lease renewal. This looks pretty recent. So we're going to preview this. And here you can see it looks very similar to our eLease. Got all of these. Here's the utility apportionment section. So now we can go back and you can see here there's these check boxes. It looks like the tenants pay for all of it here, and it's all in column number 2. So the way it's set up in Buildium for now is we're just going to go by these columns. So gas, X on number 2. Water and sewer, number 2. Electricity, choice number 2. Trash, number 2. Cable, number 2. Association fees, there are none. Other utility, it looks like snow and lawn. So here we'll put snow and lawn, and that is paid by the tenant. So keep going down. Looks like this property comes with a fridge and a stove. Put an X there, and an X there. And that's it. So since they are paying for their lawn and snow, the tenant is not receiving a lawn and snow discount. Now we've got the lead hazard and lead reports section, which if you scroll way down here, you can see these are the fields that they would be going into. So there's none. And the owner of this property is Affordable Green Homes. Sometimes you can check this. If you need to go back in a new window to check who owns the property, then you would do it. It's Buildium. So this is Affordable Green Homes. Now it is the utility formulas. So like I mentioned earlier, some of our rentals have apportionment, meaning that the tenant pays part of it. In this case, there is none to put there, so we'll leave it blank. But if, let's say the tenant paid 25% of water and sewer, that's where you would put this. tenant pays 25% of water and sewer. And if that's the case, if they do pay a portion of that utility, then we need to disclose the utility history, basically how much it's going to cost per month. So the way to do this, let's say that the utility bills will be for 2018 and 2019. You want to go to City of Minneapolis utility bill. Pretty simple Google search, bring it right here. You're going to want the online account access. That was weird. Okay, so we're just gonna, okay. This is where you would end up if I didn't go to that weird screen. You want to click standard. We'll just look up the property 4811 Emerson. All right, continue. That's just like a dashboard of utility history. So we'll just copy this link and throw it right down there into this utility history field. Now the owner in this case, Portable Green Homes, and additional lease terms, there are none. So if all looks good, we'll hit continue, and it'll take a moment to upload this document. Okay, so that finished uploading. I didn't touch anything. This automatically pops up. I'm going to minimize that and go ahead and resize that. So now you can preview the document before it's sent out to Phil or whoever to be signed. Looks like good, 12 months. Pause it good. Make sure this adds up correctly, which it does. And all of those are in the correct spots. We got the correct check marks. So a few things left to do here are to put a few input areas for them to fill out themselves. So it looks like the recipient here is Andy at SP Real Estate. Make sure they're selected. So we'll keep going down. Yep. Looks like we've got the signature for the leasing agent there. That's all good. But we're going to want to go to this renter's insurance addendum. So a few things that we need to put down are a checkbox here so they can indicate whether or not they have renter's insurance. In the case that they do have renter's insurance, throw some text boxes in here for them to put their information in. Pretty straightforward, just drag and drop text inputs. And this should be good to go. Looks like some sizing is off. I'll fix that in a second. But if everything's good, then what we're going to do is go ahead and click send. And you can see here, there's some progress bars. This got sent to Andy. And then once Phil Pox, once he signs it, it'll automatically send an email to me. And then I'll receive an email that says, here's this document that you need to sign. I'll sign it. And then once both of us have signed it, it'll prompt me as the staff member to execute the lease. And once that lease is executed, it'll be in the system. It'll be ready to collect rent when it's supposed to, and it should be good to go. So that's the process for bringing bringing a new applicant into a lease in Buildium. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know. If you have any pointers on the videos, if you need anything, if I missed anything, let me know. And thanks for watching.